Alley-oop. Welcome to the Struggle Bubble. I'm your host, Chad Cutting, with co-host Craig Sergi. And we just exited a really fun weekend of summertime madness or summertime sadness. How was your weekend, Craig?
Actually, ours was good. The weekend was really good. We actually played pickleball for the first time. So shout out to pickleball, whoever invented that and the crazy names that come along with it. Like you're in the kitchen. No,
Did
that's
you
not a kitchen.
play actual pickleball, or did you just hit a ball back and forth?
No, we
Because
played
there's some
pickleball.
crazy
So
rules.
yeah, for all the yokels in the area, we played at West Valley College. They took 2 tennis courts and made 6 pickleball courts, and I was stunned that everyone was full. I mean, it really is a trend that just is taken off, obviously, because now there's leagues and stuff. But it was cool. It was anybody that's out there that plays it knows it, and anyone that doesn't. I hate tennis. I think it sucks. I think it's partly because I suck at tennis, but I get really pissed off because the ball never stays in the court and you can never get rallies going unless you actually play. So I like the clinics that I know the Cuttins and other families are big fans of, because somebody that actually can play is hitting me the ball and I can try and get it back to them. But the pickleball is a lot denser, obviously, ball, so you can really get after it without, kind of blasting it around the court. So it was fun.
I don't want to alienate our audience, but there is a big breakdown between tennis and pickleball. And in our household, I mean, Lauren is very, I'd say, anti-pickleball at this point, because she wants to have the skill of being able to, spin the ball and place it. Everything you described that you're not able to do.
Yeah, well, this is more. I mean, as few of the listeners know, I hope I can kick everyone's ass at table tennis in our group, which is great. So it's a little bit of that as well. So you can get the spinny on it. You can you're straight in the kitchen and get the volleys going. Scoring's a little bit backwards. I don't really get that, but I guess so is tennis, because who the hell calls it love and 15, 30 and all that shit. But no, back to the weekend. That was a fun point of it, and obviously both of us went through graduation of our oldest, so that was nice on Thursday, and now they're going to be big kids at Fisher. So now the shit show really starts.
Well, first of all, shout out to the Mullen family, who is now wondering why we have an explicit tag. I'm just reinforcing the reason we have that is because of you, who has dropped 4 S-bombs in the first 3 minutes. But let's just go to that. They call it promotion ceremony, going from 5th to 6th grade. We didn't have that growing up because I went through kindergarten through 8th grade was all of it. So 5th grade turned into 6th grade. But it really helps kind of solidify where they are in that development progress or process. Going from a 5th grader into junior high next year with a group of friends that is at all different schools right now going to come together. But it also helps you reflect on the past few years, right? This group of 5th graders went through 2.5 years, almost 3 years of Zoom to start, and then graduating now. It's crazy to think about how fast time flies when you look at where we've been for the past 5 years since they've entered grade school.
Oh yeah, for sure. And shout out to McHenry and Peach at Van Meter, because they took photos of the kids on Zoom, because obviously they started in whatever, the August time, and then bailed in the March. But what they did at the end of the year or last week, they sent us all emails with those photos on. So what they actually did in those Zoom years, that was really cool. It was amazing seeing the kids. You forget how young they were, honestly, and that was really cool. But yeah, no, this whole promotion thing, I mean, it's a little alien for me. Like, we finished school in England in 2 sides. One, the only thing I remember about elementary school, not the only thing, but we finished school and you got a tea towel of what you drew that you looked like, self-portrait, and they put the whole school on a tea towel and you gave it your mum. So that was the only thing I remember about leaving that school.
Do you still have the tea towel?
Oh, I'm sure my mum does. Jesus Christ.
I think that'd be a great Instagram post to show everyone what the heck you're actually talking about.
I mean, there's just, it's a stick man with brown hair, so you're not really going to get
so
a lot
your
out
artistic
of it.
abilities have not changed since then?
Zero. And then, graduating in in England back in the day, and I was saying this to some of the parents, like we left school at 16, or you could leave at 16. You do whatever you want, right? Trade school, but then you could stay and do your A levels or advanced education. And then when you finish that at 18, 19, you just went down the pub with your teachers when you finished. There was no real like, here you go. It was like, let's go crush a couple of beers with the teachers.
That's a little bit of a different educational system then.
Totally. Yeah, a little bit different, but yeah, fun all at the same time. So that was last week. It was awesome, and now we're getting into the summer rituals. But I know you had a long weekend.
We had a long and fun weekend. So to close out and kind of bridge the gap between the school year and entering into summer, we had one final soccer tournament. So the family, quite a few families, went up to Tahoe this weekend to play in a soccer tournament and enjoy the Tahoe. I had never been to Tahoe in the summertime. Every time I go there, it's covered in 3 to 7 feet of snow, and you don't really get to appreciate it. You get to appreciate the slopes, but not actually the nature. So it's really awesome to see that, how green it is, how fresh it is, and a little bit of change of pace between what we go through on the struggle day to day, and to be able to enjoy that. And on the soccer field, the girls played hard. I don't think we go full into the drama that went through on the weekend, but there's a continued struggle to make sure that we're doing things. Really, everything we talked about on last week's episode, why we have our kids in youth sports as league administrators and as coaches, positioning the players, our girls, in the right spot. I think there's a ton of room for improvement and how expectations should be set and how the tournament should be run. But I don't think we need to belabor the point. I think really it's about that big transition between the school time structure and now we're out into the open, and we have gone through the camp scheduling and the stress between parents on the camps. What should we go into? What shouldn't we do? And letting the kids just be kids. Let them sleep in. We didn't give any of that to our kids this week. We went right into another set of camps. We've got soccer camp. We've got a sports camp. We've got a friends camp. There's a bunch of activities so that at 7:30 in the morning on Monday, it was just like a school day. Hey, kids, time to get up. Let's get going.
No, we're not doing that. We're not doing that. That's a no bueno for us. I'm like, so I'll give you ours. So did all the kids finish Friday, or did some go in? I think ours were off.
Yeah, we were off Friday. Our grade schools were off Friday, yeah.
So it was like, when you sneak in the sweet straw and you just go ballistic until you puke. That was the candy jar, sorry. That was how it was dialed in it. I'm like, I don't give a shit what you eat, how much TV you watch, whatever you need to do to get it all out, get after it. And so Scarlett ended up sleeping in the playroom on the couch. Chloe ended up in bed with me, and then Britton slept in one of the kids' beds. So it was a complete upside down scenario for us. It was just, get it all out in this foul swoop, which they did pretty hard, which was great. And then, super cute. Our theory this summer is the girls obviously they have a dance competition next week for a week. Then they have another one in July for a week in Tahoe, actually. And then they have another something in LA in August. So we've obviously stayed on the dance routine. So they've still got sessions, but the comp season, just for anybody out there that cares, the dance season ends mid-July. The last one is mid-July. So the competition dances are completed then. So then it's just kind of training. But we've told them, like, that's it. That's what we're doing. Like, we're going to dial in on those, and then after that we do it kind of whatever you want. So really the mentality behind that, just to kind of click onto where our heads were at, was you need to learn to be bored to start figuring out what you want to do. So it was kind of interesting the last few days. They wanted to do a bit more cooking and do that kind of stuff. They were actually FaceTiming family in England and looking at, it was my cousin's daughter's birthday, so looking at presents and playing at the same time over FaceTime, which was super cool. And then Chloe downloaded a French app and she wanted to learn how to speak French, and she started to Q&A Kate, her friends, French. So
Parlez-vous français?
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, okay, I guess we're getting super creative at this point. So lots of sleepovers, lots of pools, lots of hanging out, and I'm a big believer if they need that detox time of that intensity that we go through just living in the area, let alone what the kids go through and the friendship groups that are now gonna all collide at Fisher. Right, it's going to be three schools into one. The friendship groups are going to shift a little bit, and who you want to hang out with may shift a little bit. And I'm excited to see it actually, because elementary is very much, as we all know, clingy to leg and mum and dad and all that. Now it's like the wings are starting to spread a little bit, and the real world's going to start kicking in. So
Yeah. Getting
shout
them
out to
the
Lisa Nunez, or Miss Mitchell, keeping the eyes on the kids. And if they're little shits, just give me a text or a phone call.
Yeah, well, that's the best part about the community, right? We have the various friend groups, and not just in school. You have the sports, you have the extracurriculars, you have the dance, you have friends of friends, and expanding that network is huge to be able to go in with comfort on the parent side and on the kid side. And then I think you hit on something really important, that lack of structure is really helpful because they've been so regimented at dance, at soccer, at baseball, at school to give them a little bit of that breathing room. But then that comes at odds a little bit with what we experience in the area with the FOMO. We have fear of missing out.
Yeah.
One kid's doing one camp, another set of kids are doing another camp, another set of kids are going and just taking it easy, having friends over. And it almost seems like as you build up to that summer, you have a little bit of let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. Oh, so and so's doing this, so and so's doing that, versus letting the kids kind of get in and make some decisions on how they want to spend their summer.
Oh, totally. We had it yesterday. I just got to give a quick shout out to Juju as well, because every time I see her, she goes, "What's up, struggle bubble?"
I love
Uh,
Juju.
she, she came over yesterday from dance and just said to Britt like, "Hey, can I hang out with the kids?" And Britt's like, "Yeah, no problem." So it was like an improv play date, and it was awesome because the kids got to just completely hang out. And we made this. She'll have to tell me the name of it again because I forgot, but the Japanese fruit that you put in the sugar and then you put it in the ice cubes. It's pretty legit. Somebody will know what it's called, but it's
That doesn't
she
sound
shows
like it
that
should
to me
be
now.
on our diet after the last doctor's appointments that
I was
we
going to
had
say
here.
Dr. Susie shouldn't listen probably because it's definitely not good for your teeth. But yeah, no, totally that improv. Well, part of the actual kind of doing the full circle with the pickleball thing, I was told, I've not done the research, but I guess it was initially made up game by kids. So the kids were bored at the beach and they had the paddles for the beach kind of tennis or whatever. Yeah. And the parents, they were bored and the parents were like, go make a game. And that's why it's called pickleball. And that's why it's called in the kitchen and get it over the kitchen line or whatever. Because somebody made up the game. I'm like, well, that's the perfect example, right? Sometimes the greatest ideas come when you're doing the least. And, I'm like, I'm all in for go be bored, go figure out a game, go, we'll support you in whatever that looks like. I mean, our car's covered with loads of like emojis right now because the kids drew all over it on the glass. But I'm like, yeah, you know what? Go outside, go figure it out. So I think it's just I'm very conscious of how much pressure's in the area and how much these kids need to kind of decompress and detox from that, especially for the elders going into Fisher because obviously the workload's going to ramp up for them. Of just still being a kid, right? Enjoy the summer.
Some of the things we started talking about just loosely, in the car rides to and from, these camps or end of school are summertime goals.
Yeah.
You go in, you enter it, and there is that release that we've all felt. I remember the feeling of the anxiety going away in college after your last exam, or that last day in high school, where you're just like, oh, I don't have to worry about that next thing. I just be me.
Yeah.
And building that back up again so that we release that pressure and are providing still a little bit of end of summer goals. You don't want to not read a book or not do math or not and enter with even more stress because you didn't keep up on it. But we're trying to give the kids that inspiration of what would a summertime goal be. So for Theo, it's been about getting stronger. So we set push-up goals. All right, I'm going to do 20 push-ups every day, or for extra credit, I'm going to get to 100 by the end of the week. and just kind of twist the mentality of, building for something throughout the summertime so that we don't get fully off regiment, but also allow them to see what it would take to build out some and be gritty and earn some extra rewards or some extra credit and feel good about themselves at the end of the summer.
Yeah, no, I love it. I mean, again, my theory is I'm like, you don't get your ass out of the house until you make your bed. Like, you gotta just on the daily, just that small little thing, just regimented of, you know, leave the bedroom dressed, eye watch on, bed made, brush your teeth before you come downstairs. Just that small little steps. And no, I love it. I think it's super important if it's push-ups or if it's learn to run a mile or whatever that is, just to keep the kind of the mental side of like you got to put work in to get something out at the end. And guess what? There is something at the end, but that end may never come. Just keep changing the goals, right? Keep growing on it.
And that's the biggest push. Again, just threading what we're trying to do through this podcast and through the conversations that we're having is to recenter the focus. There are times where we feel like we just go through, I'll say the motions. I've got to go to school. I've got to go to work. I've got to go to pickup. I've got to do this. And it's always a constant struggle to make time for yourself and understand why we're doing any of this. A lot of the reasons are, well, it's just what we do. This is how it's done. This is what we're supposed to be doing. And taking a step back to really reevaluate what it means to be a parent, what it means to be a husband, what it means to be a friend, and refocus that energy so that we can have real conversations. Why do we do summer camps? When you were a kid, did you have summer camps?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So what type of summer camps?
Just all sports summer camps. Like Monday was tag, whatever, right? Football, all different ones. But it was more like babysitting service to a certain degree, right? It was a place where you could go and play sports. It didn't matter what it was, right? Football or cricket or rugby or just a simple, you know, zone games, tag and capture the flag and all that kind of stuff. But it was more like that. It was more, and then as we got older, it was, as you know, right, and it's not going to happen nowadays. But it was 5 or 6 of us all at somebody's house, like literally, whose bikes were out in the front yard because that's where we were hanging out. Simple as that. And then those led into sleepovers because nobody could be asked to go home again, and all those different variations of it. But it makes you who you are, right? You got to kind of generate a bit of thick skin. You're going to screw up every now and then, and the amount of shit we used to do and got away with and didn't die is pretty impressive.
Yeah. And you hit on two big things right there. One, the babysitting aspect, right? We need as parents that are working daily or trying to work, trying to build companies, trying to execute and maintain that autonomy. You need that childcare. And the other part is the unstructured play. You don't want to be fully regimented because you don't look forward to it as a kid. Just
Yeah,
oh, I have to go do this versus I get to, right? Everything you just described is I get to go to sports camp. And I had
yeah,
similar, this is where you experimented with different sports. You
yeah,
go play golf, for a week and see if you like or don't like. You go
yeah,
swim lessons, you go there and it's a few hours out of the day to expose you to that new sport. But with
yeah,
the remote work and the sitting at home, being at home right now, you're in your house, I'm in my house. There's a child upstairs that's home from camp already. You you're present and they see you, which
yeah,
just tugs at you a little bit more to say, I do want to go outside and play catch with you or go
yeah,
swimming. Or Theo's been talking about going to Golfland nonstop, and I will take him to Golfland, I promise. And it kills me at times to say, hey, no, I need to go do this. I need to do a little bit of
yeah.
work. But since they can see you, it's not that you're at an office where it's completely
Totally.
separate. Oh, dad's at an office, no problem. I can't ask him. Versus knocking on the door upstairs saying, hey, what are you doing? You're talking to Craig. Get off get off the
Well,
podcast and come play with me.
totally. And I know we're just wrapping up now, but I think that's where that work-life balance, there really isn't a work-life balance. It's just life, and you got to just map it all together, right? However that is. From, as you know, I get up at 5:30, and that's when I take the Echo out, and I just go all the way until 9:30, and I collapse, right? And just in between all of that is that work-life balance. And again, it's not really a thing. It's just life, and I've just fit in slots where needed. And unfortunately, the 24 hours is tough to cram it all in, and then the organization of it is tough.
Well, let's tie that all together and do a little send off here, right? Today's theme of going into that transition from the structured school life into the summertime, the FOMO of getting their kids in the right camps and making sure we can still continue to work. It's all part of that struggle bubble. And we need to find those slots throughout the day to prioritize. What you're going to go do right now, right? You're going to do a little bit of coaching. You're going to do a little bit of working. You're going to plan the rest of the day. You're going to get the kids. I'm the same way. Wedge this in. We're going to do some baseball practice. We're going to do baseball game. We're going to pick up the kids. Finding that time and structuring it and being accountable to yourself and accountable to your family, the biggest thing and the biggest theme for us that we're going to continue to talk about on this pod.
Just keep going. That's what we can do.
One day at a time.
One day
All
at
right,
a
we
time.
appreciate it, everybody. We're going to wrap up today. Remember, please subscribe wherever you're listening and follow us on social media, the Struggle Bubble Pod on Instagram. If you have any questions, comments, or suggestions on future episodes, please reach out to us. We'd love to hear what you're thinking and your feedback on the podcast overall. Thanks, everybody.